All right, welcome everybody. We're going to get started here. Before we hand it off to Jonathan Gard to kick us off, just want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, please direct them to the Q&A section. We will bank them up as we go and try and get to all of them at the end. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Jonathan Gard to get us going. Thanks again for joining us, everybody.
Excellent. Thanks, Kyle. Well, howdy and welcome. As prepping for this today, I did a little bit of reflection, thinking back to Summit of 2024. And I remember coming away feeling that, man, there's a ton of potential here, right? This was 14 months ago. There's a lot on the roadmap, but not a lot that was really ready for prime time. And I can say with absolute conviction, this year was a stark contrast to that. This year was all about execution. And not just any execution. I think this year Snowflake really came out swinging. Smashing old silos between analytics and AI and applications that are really redefining the modern data delivery paradigm. It's like, what happens when the data platform decides it's not just a data platform anymore, but it's a holistic runtime for intelligent businesses? And I think that's fundamentally the question that Snowflake answered loud and clear at this year's summit. If you were fortunate enough to be in San Fran or just following from the sidelines, you could feel it. This was not just a feature dump. I saw this as a moment in technology. Being in the room for the keynote, right? There was a Snowflake symphony, literally a symphony, a generative music experience. And it was awesome watching Benoit serve as the conductor for that. But the symphony was built with AI agents hosted inside of the platform. And you saw it firsthand. All right, Snowflake isn't evolving anymore. It was truly composing a new era. Next slide, please. So we're calling today's session from the Igloo for a reason. As I'm sure you know, Igloos are originally designed for survival and shelter, of course, but really for building connection and warmth and a shared resilience in addition to that. And I think those are the ethos that we're trying to bring and channel here today. So don't look at this as a recap. Look at this as a collaborative reflection, truly a high signal download from our technology leaders at evolv, who were deeply embedded in that energy at Summit just a couple months ago. And it's our goal to bring the real talk here. No fluff. Let's talk about what landed, what matters, what's next, and how you can take tangible things from this session today and apply that to what's going on in your organization right now. We're going to do that through 4 focused lenses. First of all, around AI and then platform. We're going to move into this concept of openness, and then we're going to round things out with strategy. More on that in just a second. Next slide, please. So before we dig in too deep, though, just want to set a little bit of context. Who are these, frigid-looking guys and gals on the screen? We are evolv, right? We're a true blue elite Snowflake partner, deeply embedded in the platform's evolution. Snowflake is what we do all day, every day. It's what we eat and breathe. And what makes us different is we don't just deliver on projects, right? We're really focused on delivering those tangible outcomes. No bloated roadmaps, no overpromised digital transformations, right? Our focus is to bring the precision of, a top-tier consultancy, the speed of a boutique, and really the results yielding from a team that has done this over and over and over again across our clients in financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, just to name a few. Next slide, please. You've made notice there's a bullet on that previous slide around like flawless execution. How is that possible? Well, our approach to truly being the perfect partner spans 4 interconnected domains. The first being platform and architecture. As I mentioned, this is what we do. We built our business and our team members to have technical fluency across all key tenets of Snowflake architecture, whether that be Snowpipe, Streams, Cortex, Streamlit, you name it, doesn't matter. Truly from, ingestion to ML model deployment, we architect for performance and scale. Our strategic advisory is a functional muscle, and it truly is our secret sauce. This is where we help clients align, the tech investment to the business impact. Think roadmaps, acceleration, TCO modeling, prioritization of use cases that have the highest ROI, right? This muscle allows us to really focus on what's truly important to the business, and that is generating that value immediately. Governance, much of what, governance is powered by Snowflake, yes, through their Horizon product, but, it's bigger than tech. So we implement data quality, access control, policies, et cetera, that scale. And think right-sized governance that has the ability to kind of bob and weave as organizations mature. And then lastly, adoption, right? We all know that the best platform is rather useless without activation. So as we drive out real-time analytics and enrichment and data monetization solutions, we're laser focused on those critical organizational change management components that are ensuring that teams are actually using what it is that we build. Next slide, please. All right, so let's talk macro a little bit. And real quick, I'm Jonathan Gard, based out of Austin, Texas, and I have the pleasure of leading our solutions engineering team here at evolv. And if I had to summarize Summit in one word, it would be convergence. Next slide. Snowflake's vision is crystal clear. It is to become the enterprise's unified data and AI platform, right? It's that succinct. And this is not marketing fluff. I think this year they really shipped on it. Think real-time ingestion, native GenAI capabilities, app hosting, external compute integration. Through all these net new capabilities, they've eliminated the friction that once separated business insight from business execution. And personally being there, being in the keynotes, in the halls, and all the breakout sessions, like you could hear it and you could feel it. There's chatter all over the place. This is an Salesforce. This is truly the first real AI fabric. Snowflake is a runtime, not just a repository. And is through a lot of this chatter that I was like, you know what? This isn't an evolution of features. This is truly a redefinition of Snowflake's identity. Next slide, please. All right, so let's talk tech and ultimately what it means. A few big unlocks dropped that kind of changed the game for me, and just kind of reemphasize, like, how do you put the power in the T being transformation. A couple key takeaways, and we're going to get into these in a lot more detail. Snowpipe Streaming dynamic tables, obviously these have been around for a little bit now, but they're becoming the new heartbeat of the platform, at least from a data wrangling standpoint. Real-time data is now native. It's not stitched in. All of my clients, right, they want to move their data processing that much more closer to the business event. And these capabilities are truly enabling that through dashboards, APIs, ML workflows, truly all within an instant. OpenFlow, now a native workflow orchestration engine hosted directly inside of Snowflake, right? Game changing. You don't have to go out and get additional ELT and ETL tools to build and govern these event-driven data products and pipelines. Not to say that those still aren't relevant, because they absolutely are. This just gives product users the capability to stay 100% native if they want to, which is really cool. Postgres for OLTP, it's about frickin' time, right? I've been waiting on this, I feel like, for 4 or 5 years, and in my mind is probably the most transformational long term. But this is a fully managed Postgres service now embedded directly within Snowflake. And what this does is it allows you to transact and build, at scale enterprise products and solutions and software on top of the platform, and run those alongside your analytics tier and your AI tier as well. So I'm the most bullish on that capability in terms of workforce transformation. And then, and lastly, native apps, frameworks, and containers. I enjoyed this. I think it was a bit of a sleeper hit with the audience. App logic and AI agents, they're now containerized inside of Snowflake, obviously secured and governed. But this is a critical component and kind of that missing link historically for what's enabled AI to move from like POC, POV, and demos into production and becoming truly operationalized. Obviously, composable, secure, open, minimum height to ride kind of stuff, all in an effort to, I think, really move the center of gravity for all of our enterprise's data assets. All right, next slide, please. So what does this mean for us? Obviously, you're on the call for a reason, and hopefully we hit on some pieces here in a lot of detail that give you that takeaway that you're looking for. So that's exactly what we're going to do next, right? Over the next 30 minutes, you're going to hear from 5 or 6 of evolv's best and brightest, right? Architects, engineers who are living and breathing this every day with our clients. Specifically, Tyler Stern and Rose Ellison are going to unpack how AI is becoming a native capability inside Snowflake. Think hybrid search to Cortex fine-tuning and everything in between. Trent Foley, Chris Schneider, they're going to look at the platform really from a performance standpoint. Think Gen 2 warehouses, OpenFlow, Postgres, and what they mean for your current architecture and how to take that to the next level. And then lastly, Richa is going to round us out by showing how Snowflake is driving that open standard, kind of the next evolution of modern data architecture through Iceberg, Polaris, Semantic Views, and ultimately closing that gap of governance and interoperability. So thanks for letting me steal the first few minutes of this. And Rose, please take it away to AI.
All right, thanks, Gard. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Rose Ellison, and I specialize in building AI applications on Snowflake. So I'm going to kick off the generative AI and app development section by starting with the heart of Snowflake's GenAI story, and that is Cortex AI Suite. So if we go to the next slide and one more slide. So you're going to see 2 core capabilities, Cortex fine-tuning and enhanced Cortex search. So if you can imagine that you have built a customer support chatbot and you need it to understand your company's unique lingo. So these are things like product names, internal processes, support tier distinctions. With Cortex fine-tuning, you can upload your domain data right into Snowflake. Click fine-tune, and within hours, you have a custom trained model that answers your questions with your own context baked in. So there's no external MLOps stack, no complicated retraining workflows. It's just a few clicks, and the model lives securely in your data cloud. And now we can pair that with enhanced Cortex search. So we now have state-of-the-art vector embeddings blended with traditional keyword indexes. So users can get sub-second laser-focused retrieval across documents and also images. And behind the scenes, what's going on is Snowflake is automatically refreshing and boosting indexes for both freshness and precision. And because it runs natively in Snowflake, you never have to spin up a separate vector store or Elastic cluster. So together, these services let you build true RAG and agentic applications entirely inside your Snowflake environment. And that's going to dramatically reduce complexity. It's going to shorten time to value, and it's going to keep every piece of data under your existing governance and security controls. Let's go to the next slide. So now we have Snowflake Intelligence, which is the new conversational layer that sits on top of Cortex. So think of this as ChatGPT for your enterprise data. Every query runs under your existing roles and policies. So when your sales director asks, why did Q2 bookings dip in the Northeast? Or your support manager says, summarize sentiment from the last month's high priority tickets. Snowflake Intelligence can stitch that together. So all of the answers from both the structured tables and the unstructured sources, uh, you will have crystal clear SQL dashboards plus narrative explanations and charts all in one interface. So there's really no need to build ETL pipelines or craft semantic views up front. This system dynamically fetches data, performs correlations, and it even suggests next steps. So whether that's setting up an alert or drafting an email or launching a downstream process. And because it's built on Snowflake, every interaction is fully auditable, governed, and compliant. Your users will never leave the platform, and your data never leaks to an external AI service. And if you do want to enrich your insights with approved external feeds, like market data or news or whatever it is, you can simply hook it in, and the Snowflake intelligence blends it into the conversation. So in short, Snowflake Intelligence transforms your data, your entire data estate into a natural language research assistant. And that is going to empower business users to self-serve insights and act on them. And the best part is you don't even have to write a single line of SQL. So let's go to the next slide, and I'm going to pass it to Tyler Stern.
Thanks, Rose. Howdy, everybody. I am indeed Tyler Stern. I'm part of evolv's data science and AI practice, and I do a lot of work on Snowflake Cortex for clients in financial services and insurance. So next we'll be discussing Cortex AI SQL, which introduces AI functions as native SQL operators within Snowflake. So instead of calling external APIs or pre-processing data outside of your warehouse, you can now invoke LLM operations directly in SQL queries using functions like classify, extract, summarize, and translate. This uses state-of-the-art foundation models, such as Claude, the GPT models, Llama, Mistral, and even potentially DeepSeek. So you might be able to write a one-line query, which does sentiment analysis on a few million customer reviews in multiple languages, and then calculates the ratio of negative to positive reviews, groups it by product, orders it by the most beloved products. Or you could use AI filtering in your where clauses and joins to pull out images that have your logo in them. This system also actually introduces the file data type as a first class operator in Snowflake, or first class data object rather, which lets you query multimodal content. So that includes text, images, audio, and even video, all using SQL syntax. Because these AI operators are being treated as SQL primitives rather than external service calls, Snowflake's Query Optimizer comes into play. So that can now reason about AI operations and has shown up to a 60% cost savings on large data sets when optimizing how and when that inference runs as compared to regular AI service pipelines. And this generally, I think, reflects a broader shift that we're seeing, moving from like low latency interactive AI infrastructure towards batch inference workloads that automate processes we do every day. There's still going to be a place for open-ended prompting about how to accomplish tasks or one-off ad hoc requests, but it appears that around 80% of use cases can be covered by purpose-built AI function calls. And in Snowflake, these have built-in validation and guardrails that ensure output consistency, which I think really just shows how these tools are beginning to mature and operationalize both industry-wide and particularly on Snowflake. We're seeing these use cases start to kind of cluster together in a real way. But the real value, honestly, is bringing structured and unstructured data together in the same query plan, using the file data type, using the AI operators. It all works together. And that's where teams most want to operate, not in unstructured AI workflows. Most production use cases actually need that high throughput processing and not real-time responses. Next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about universal search and document AI. Speaking of structured and unstructured content, this is going to give us more opportunities to work with and bring in unstructured data. So universal search is the on-screen search bar when you're using the Snowsight interface. So starting with a private preview that should be available now, you're going to be able to discover data in external relational databases, starting with Postgres and MySQL from that interface. And not only that, the search also returns results across multiple other sources. So database objects in Snowflake, data products in the Snowflake Marketplace, even the Snowflake documentation and community articles. So that single search bar becomes an entry point for discovering data across the entire ecosystem, not just what's loaded into your Snowflake managed tables. Moving on to Document AI, this is Snowflake's managed solution for OCR and document digitization. It's built on top of multimodal LLMs rather than using traditional computer vision approaches. In particular, it's powered by the Arctic Tilt proprietary model from Snowflake, which continues to improve year over year. One issue in the past has been that it's been difficult to work with extraction of data in tables within documents. This is just due to the kind of like compression and latent space projection that the LLM's doing to understand the document, which doesn't preserve the position on the page as well. But recently, the schema-aware table extraction capability has come into public preview. And that means it's going to be able to identify and extract structured tables from complex PDFs and retain that original table structure and those relationships. So this is a game changer for that Doc AI process, and that product team in particular working on this tool has been really plugged in with customers to figure out where they need to improve and where the product needs to change. So this is just proof of that to me. Overall, I think that these LLM-powered OCR solutions are really starting to outcompete traditional computer vision architectures for that, especially as documents are more complex. And then for universal search, we're seeing that some of the platform evolutions are just like having myriad effects downstream in terms of what we're capable of using the existing tooling. Going to the next slide, we can look at some of the app deployment and app development capabilities and how those are changing. So Snowflake native apps are a Snowflake Marketplace deployed solution. It lets you package applications and then distribute them to other Snowflake environments in a secure and portable manner. And those apps run in the containerized runtime, Snowpark Container Services, Snowpark Container Services, SPCS. And so these are being extended to agentic native apps. So we're able to package up AI agents using this. And instead of running them externally and making API calls from Snowflake, we can execute those directly within the app consumer's database environment. And so this means that agents can access data directly without moving it outside of that consumer's security perimeter. We're bringing those productionized agents to the data instead of moving the data across environments for these analyses. This framework, I'd say, supports seamless sharing of these agentic workflows across different environments. And you can not only use the Cortex agents through Snowflake's agentic AI service, but you can also package up custom ones or even Cortex ML models from the managed machine learning service in Cortex inside these native apps and do a variety of analyses, give your agents really, really rich tool use capabilities and deploy them anywhere. Additionally, these deployments are getting a lot easier. There's a new managed flow for setting up permissions, doing RBAC, and then for the first time, we've got access into the container logging using Snowflake Trail for metrics and observability on these apps as they're running. And then a lot of these apps are developed from a front end perspective, or really even a full stack perspective, using Streamlit, which is a open source Python library that Snowflake's acquired, to kind of honor that open source history, and find the kind of direction they want to take this. Snowflake has put together a steering committee for like open source governance. This is intended to kind of balance Snowflake's strategic direction with additional community input on feature development. In terms of new features, some new Streamlit capabilities are hitting the street. First off, we've got new components for file upload, camera access, and things of that nature. And then there's also new capabilities such as integration with AWS and Azure Private Link for private connectivity, and that's just gone to general recently. That was announced at Summit as well, so that should be available everywhere now. Furthermore, because the Snowflake notebooks runtimes run through the Streamlit server, that also opens up private link connectivity for those notebooks. So in general, I would say that this is just operationalizing across the board. There's better containerization opportunities, easier deployment practices, and we're a lot closer to like really robust hosting to compete with some of the big dogs directly on Snowflake. So your data apps are faster and easier to spin up and a lot more convenient to maintain. Moving on to the next slide, I think it's time to hand it over to Chris Schneider to talk about some of the platform evolution that we're seeing and what that means. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. So my name is Chris Schneider. I'm a solutions architect focusing on financial services. And as we continue our wintry journey today, Trent Foley and I are going to discuss new platform enhancements that are just real game changers when it comes to producing insights faster with less. But before I go too much further, if I had to summarize Snowflake Summit this year into one word, my word is performance. So move on to the next slide. So let's start off with engineering pipelines. Snowpipe Streaming is Snowflake's Java-based API for real-time ingestion, delivered to low latency, direct-to-table performance that goes far beyond just the traditional batch-based pipelines. It originally launched and generally available in 2023, the classic Snowpipe architecture set a new standard for near instant ingestion geared to complement the batch processing of Snowpipe. But now, fast forward to today, Snowflake is taking the performance up to the next level and meet high-performance Snowpipe Streaming, a major leap forward featuring brand new Snowflake Streaming SDK, seamlessly integrating with a new pipe object, which decouples direct-to-table writes for enhanced efficiency and better control. Built from the ground up for high throughput and ultra-low latency, this new upgraded architecture delivers fully integrated and enhanced REST API with built-in server-side schema validation, boasting speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. Best of all, transparent, predictable pricing based on data throughput, not just serverless compute or connection count. So Snowflake Streaming or Snowpipe Streaming, you can scale with confidence, you can stream with speed, you can simplify your architecture, all while keeping your costs clear and predictable. Now, once your data is streaming at that high speed, dynamic tables take it from there, automating transformations and delivering fresh, actionable insights with minimal overhead. Dynamic tables in Snowflake live up to their name, automatically refreshing based on upstream data changes at a defined freshness interval. They simplify and they streamline transformation pipelines like never before. Just define your query, and your freshness routine, and Snowflake takes care of the rest. But now with the latest enhancements, dynamic tables offer even greater control and efficiency, unlocking capabilities us data engineers have been asking for. You get smarter incremental processing, leveraging built-in functions like current date, time, timestamp, where you can use those in where, having, and qualify clauses to help minimize the data that's scanned and processed during your incremental refreshes. Immutable regions can be introduced with a dynamic table. So using the new immutable option to draw a clear boundary in your data's history, preventing reprocessing of historical data and improving performance through deterministic data behaviors. Even configuring your dynamic tables to produce only inserted records using insert only mode, eliminating that need to produce updates and process deletes from the source systems. And being able to backfill a table. Let's say that you've got all of the data already compiled somewhere else and you want to turn that into a dynamic table going forward. You can now use the backfill option, which leverages the zero copy cloning already available in Snowflake to create that table without having to reinitialize the entire backfill. And with these powerful upgrades, Snowflake dynamic tables make building, scaling, and optimizing data pipelines faster and smarter and more effective. And then combining these two features together push the boundaries of processing data at scale. With high performance ingestion handled by Snowpipe Streaming, dynamic tables pick up the baton, automating data transformation and ensuring your team always have access to fresh, trusted insights. Next slide. Another area with performance enhancements is in the compute engines. At the heart of Snowflake's data cloud, virtual warehouses provide the compute power behind analytics, transformations, and workloads, offering flexible scale up and scale out options to isolate and optimize performance across any data use case. Now meet the next evolution, Gen 2 virtual warehouses. Built on upgraded hardware and enhanced with intelligent performance tuning, Gen 2 delivers over 2 times faster performance compared to the standard warehouses, unlocking greater efficiency for even your most demanding operations. Purpose-built to accelerate complex DML operations like delete, update, and merge, full table scans and large-scale transformations, and high-volume performance-critical workloads. But migration to Gen 2 warehouses is effortless. Converting your existing virtual warehouses is as simple as executing an alter warehouse command with no disruption to your applications, connections, or permission changes. Gen 2 warehouses are designed for modern data demands, delivering smarter, faster, and more cost-effective compute without compromising on simplicity. But there's more. Snowflake is again redefining what's possible with adaptive compute, the next generation compute engine that intelligently and automatically scales in real time to meet the needs of any workload. With adaptive compute, Snowflake takes care of all of the warehouse configuration complexities with hands-off configurability. That means that Snowflake is handling dynamic cluster sizing based on the workload needs, automatic concurrency scaling, seamless multi-cluster management, smart suspend and resume behaviors, and introducing an advanced intelligent query routing that chooses the optimal execution path based on the workload type, data locality, and compute availability. All of this ensures peak performance with minimal management, freeing up teams to focus on delivering insights and not fine-tuning their infrastructure. Best of all, upgrading to adaptive compute is just simple as upgrading to the Gen 2 warehouse, a simple alter warehouse command with zero impact. Adaptive compute brings power of always right-sized compute to your platform, stays fast, efficient, and effortless, no matter the scale. Snowflake delivers a powerful combination of performance and simplicity, enabling teams to run faster, heavier workloads with greater efficiency, while reducing the operational overhead of infrastructure management. Whether use case calls for fine-tuned power or hands-off elasticity, Snowflake's compute innovations ensure the data platform scales intelligently with the business. Now, let's talk with Trent and see what other jaw-dropping enhancements are available. Next slide.
Exciting updates, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm Trent Foley, and I'm excited to share with you about a huge announcement made at Summit, and that's Snowflake's acquisition of crunchy data and the introduction of Snowflake Postgres. Let me pause for a moment just to let that soak in, what that means. We all love Postgres. We love it for a reason. It's ACID compliant. It supports rich ANSI SQL. It has a vibrant ecosystem of extensions from PostGIS, various time series tooling. It's one of the most versatile and battle-tested databases out there. And in Crunchy Data, they have been the gold standard for enterprise Postgres. And with the acquisition, Snowflake has bought fully managed production-grade Postgres directly into the Snowflake Data Cloud. So this isn't just managed hosting, but Snowflake is deeply integrating Postgres under Snowflake Horizon. So now you get enterprise-grade governance, you're getting unified access policies, data lineage, tags, masking, auditability, all across both analytical and now transactional workloads. Here's where it gets really exciting. You're running transactional Postgres workloads inside the Snowflake platform. You're breaking down silos between operational and analytical data. You're eliminating the need for the traditional E and L in ELT because your source data is already there. It's natively available to your pipelines, analytics, and AI agents with no duplication or lag, zero copy. It's the convergence of OLTP and OLAP with the openness of Postgres and the governance of Snowflake all in a single secure cloud-native platform. The possibilities now become endless for what we can build on Snowflake. Next up, Snowflake OpenFlow. At Summit, Snowflake announced that OpenFlow is now GA. So that's extremely exciting news. That's been a year in the making. OpenFlow is Snowflake's new native data movement and orchestration engine built on Apache NiFi, and it's able through Snowflake's acquisition of Databolo that we all learned about in 2024 Summit. So OpenFlow gives us a visual low-code experience for designing complex, scalable pipelines, and it's all governed and observed directly in the Snowflake platform. OpenFlow is ready to transform how we move, prep, and activate data. And what I really want to dive in on here is especially data for AI and enabling AI use cases. With the explosion of AI use cases, we're seeing a surge in unstructured data with PDFs, images, emails, documents, and more. And to power that, data needs to be extracted, cleaned, and transformed before it lands in Snowflake. So ETL is back, and OpenFlow is the answer. OpenFlow has hundreds of connectors across SaaS apps, file systems, APIs, cloud storage, and more. But what makes OpenFlow special is the AI-ready processors, OCR, entity extraction, text chunking, image parsing. These are plug-and-play components designed specifically to prep unstructured data for AI models and LLM pipelines. So as of Summit, OpenFlow is GA. The control plane resides within Snowflake with support for bring your own cloud data plane deployments on AWS, meaning you can deploy close to your data wherever it lives with enterprise-grade control and scalability. Because it's Snowflake native, OpenFlow benefits from unified governance, policy enforcement, real-time observability, pipeline throughput, errors, retries, latency, everything you need for reliable production operations. Here at evolv, we implemented OpenFlow immediately following Summit to feed our own internal AI solution we call Unify. Unify is powered by OpenFlow, Cortex, Snowflake Intelligence that you heard about earlier from Rose. We would be thrilled to offer a demo and partner with you to tailor your own enterprise-grade AI solutions. Let me now hand the mic to Richa to share how Snowflake is embracing open standards.
Thanks, Trent. Hello, everybody. I'm Richa. I'm the lead solutions architect here at evolv, part of the sales enablement team. I help design data and AI solutions with Snowflake at the center. I'm going to be your tour guide through the new open standards features that were unveiled at the Summit this year. My word for Summit announcements for the section that I'm covering is open formats, open catalog, and openness in data interoperability. So let's get into Iceberg. Snowflake now provides full native support for Iceberg tables, open table format. What this means is that Snowflake can now write to manage and query Iceberg tables directly without requiring any data movement or replication. Your data stays where it is, and Snowflake and other tools and technologies around Snowflake can process it and use it efficiently. The key advantage here is interoperability, openness, flexibility, all of which is really essential when it comes to modern data ecosystems where organizations are using multiple engines, tools, and platforms side by side. So where Snowflake really stands out, in my opinion, is bringing enterprise-grade capabilities to the modern data world. So you get asset compliance for transactional integrity. There's high performance, consistent data accuracy, and schema evolutions all built in. And these, as you know, these capabilities could be often missing or fragile in traditional lakehouse type architectures where open storage layers can struggle with consistency, governance, and scalability. So to summarize this very quickly, this is about combining the freedom of open formats with the reliability and power of Snowflake's. You don't have to compromise. To give you some real world examples, one of our manufacturing customers has their IoT sensor data sitting in Iceberg tables, while all of their predictive maintenance models are all coded and written and housed in Snowflake. So model training and analytics all use the same set of data, ensuring single version of truth. There's no need for data movement or data replication. One of our fintech customers is using Iceberg tables for their raw transactional data, while analytics and AI and ML on fraud detection, et cetera, is housed in Snowflake and uses Snowflake's compute engine without having to need or move the data. So you could see this in itself can be so powerful, enabling innovation. Next slide, please. So how does Snowflake use Iceberg tables? Is through the Polaris Catalog. So let's talk about what Polaris brings to the table. Polaris is an open REST-based catalog for Apache Iceberg tables, which means you have bidirectional read and write access, not just from Snowflake. Used to be unidirectional, by the way, right before the summit, but also from external engines that can support Iceberg. This is, you could effectively open up your data to a much broader ecosystem while still leveraging Snowflake's compute power. So what's the impact of that? First, you're able to preserve all of Snowflake's robust governance controls, things like RBAC, dynamic data masking, row-level security, object tagging, full data lineage, even when your data is being accessed or modified by external systems. This is critical as it ensures consistency, security, and compliance across platforms. Second, it enables atomic multi-engine table operations, which means multiple platforms can access and ingest and run transformations on execute analytical workloads, all on the same data set without stepping on each other's toes. The concurrency becomes key when organizations have diverse data processing engines. Let's say streaming data from Apache Flink, machine learning models in Spark, analytics, BI dashboards in Power BI, Sigma, all working in harmony with the single version of truth, all on the same data set. So ultimately, this brings both flexibility and control, opening up Iceberg tables to new use cases without compromising on governance or reliability. Next slide, please. Let's talk about some myths. Newer is better. Specifically, Iceberg is inherently better. It's not always true. Snowflake's native format FDN isn't open source, but that's by design, right? It means updates, performance improvements, new feature rollouts are more faster and occur more seamlessly because Snowflake kind of controls the entire stack. I need to choose now or I'm stuck forever. Well, that's a myth. You're never locked into one table format. You can mix and match formats or switch them up over time based on your needs. It's not just a one-way door. Pache Polaris means lock in. In reality, Polaris is a REST catalog, is designed specifically to avoid lock-in, allowing external compute engines to, like we just talked about, to interoperate freely with Snowflake managed Iceberg tables. Iceberg storage cheaper. This is a misunderstanding. Iceberg isn't about cutting storage costs, but about enabling multi-engine compute scenarios where different tools like Spark, Flink, Snowflake can all need concurrent access to the same data. So I'd say the value is really flexibility and not cost. And finally, Snowflake has two confusing catalogs. There's actually a very clear separation with different roles. Polaris manages the Iceberg table catalog, and Horizon handles governance, lineage, security. So Snowflake's governance is deeply integrated into everything, so you don't lose control regardless of what your table format might be. Next slide, please. Let's talk about semantic views and how it unlocks value for different personas across the organization. So first, for AI-powered applications and large language models, semantic views give the LLM some structured context, which helps generate more accurate, compliant AI-generated SQL, and it reduces the need for manual prompt tuning, ensuring that your AI output aligns with the business definitions and governance policies. For BI users, they benefit from having trusted, consistent metrics and dimensions, things like revenue definitions, customer segments, profit, product hierarchies, all of which is standardized and is available for more self-serve analytics capability. For technical analysts and data modelers, semantic views help by centralizing the business logic, eliminating duplicate queries. Also, it simplifies complex data schemas, which makes it easier to build models, maintain governance, and ensure that the entire organization is speaking the same data language. So to summarize quickly, Snowflake semantic views bring consistency, simplicity, intelligence, whether you're working with AI, business insights, or complex data models. I'll move on to the next slide. I believe that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Richa, and thank you, team at large. Truly a chorus of perspective, right? I think just repeatedly we heard it from our partners, our customers, and even evolv technologists, since Summit, that Snowflake isn't evolving, it's converging, and I think it's the convergence is what made this particular summit so powerful and so electric. Cortex fine-tuning, embedded hybrid search, right? It's absolutely frictionless. Gen 2 warehouses, dynamic tables, like literally rewriting the playbook on performance and what that means for your organization's consumption. And then, obviously Iceberg, Polaris, Semantic Views, Open Standard. This is the new blueprint for the modern data ecosystem. And so kind of looking at this slide, you've heard some of these quotes from us already, but it's not commentary, right? This is a general consensus across our team and our organization that Snowflake is the full stack runtime for modern AI-powered and the governed enterprise at large. Next slide, and I'm going to kind of round us out here with the next movement. I'd say if the last 12 to 14 months weren't, bold enough, I think what's coming next as you start to stitch a lot of these capabilities together is truly revolutionary. Obviously, what I'm about to say is reading between the lines, right? But I'm starting to see that some of these next moves are already in motion. AI co-pilots, I think they're going vertical. So think about pre-built co-pilots for healthcare, manufacturing, financial, right? All of those running natively within Cortex. I think you're going to see a massive explosion of what happens to the marketplace. With plug and play, ERP, CRM, IoT connectivity, I think you'll see Snowflake continuously become that connected tissue for operational data onboarding. Shifting into embedded analytics within applications. Tyler and Rose talked a lot about Cortex, right? And these insights, living within Streamlit, but imagine integrating those natively directly into like a Salesforce, a ServiceNow, a Workday, right? All enabled through RESTful interfaces. Dashboards and applications become truly actionable and not just referential. I think your app monetization starts to scale out, right? We all want to put a couple bucks in our pockets, and I think this is an excellent opportunity. Obviously, Snowflake's not just an infrastructure layer, it's an app store. And I think you're going to see that app store scale out to co-pilots, to models, to native connectors within OpenFlow, potentially decision engines. I expect the app store to really take on a lifeblood of its own. I think Polaris becomes more and more the backbone of the platform, right? One catalog, multi-platform, multi-engine, multi-cloud, blah, 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 right? It is truly a single plane of metadata that is bringing together all of your organization's data assets and then external data from other organizations. And then a couple more here, and then we'll open it up for a short Q&A. I think OpenFlow gets smart the same way that Snowflake took Streamlit and continued to evolve the capabilities of that stack. I see the same thing happening with OpenFlow. I think we'll move from just basic task orchestration to truly intelligent pipelines, leveraging that catalog, leveraging Horizon, right? Built-in auto-tuning, observability, potentially even feedback loops. And then lastly, as Trent kind of walked through the vision around OLTP through that acquisition of Crunchy Data, this is all moving into one stack with AI, right? So think your managed Postgres, your Cortex, right? What that's going to yield are applications that capture, analyze, and do in-the-loop response in real time. So a lot of the friction and the latency that we've experienced quite literally over the last 50 years, I think we'll see that condense very, very rapidly over the next 12 months. So, in a nutshell, that's the playbook for what we think is coming. You heard it here first. You're ahead of it. So I think as we shift into the last slide here, what are you going to do with it? All right, let's build the next movement together. Go out, continue to learn. Right, our team at evolv, we're going to keep rolling out blogs. You saw Kyle throw some of these in the chat throughout the session. Go out, read with them, engage them, get some insights that are going to, further help you unpack what you saw today. I would say continue to get connected, right? Hit up your Snowflake SEs and your AEs and ask them for their perspective on Summit and 60. There's these sessions going on in local markets. Trust me, they've got some awesome behind the scenes intel that they can roll out. And then, lastly, it's like, hey, let's go deeper together. Hopefully there's a few things that, sparked an idea or some interest for you today. Potentially, that, hey, there's a net new use case that, you just figured out how to unlock and solve. We want to help. Our team truly does live for this stuff. So please don't be a stranger. Reach out to anybody on this call and we'll take the next step with you. So with that, I think Kyle has a handful of questions inventoried. We're going to hit pause and open it up to the floor. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Gard. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. I'm going to run through a couple quick questions with the 3 minutes we have until we're done, and we'll follow up. A lot of questions about sharing the recording and all that. So that must mean we're doing something right here. We will share out the details with this group. So thanks again for attending. So first question is going to Rose. How should we think about fine-tuning models in Snowflake versus using a traditional MLOps pipeline outside of the platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in short, the answer is Snowflake's fine-tuning is going to keep your data in the platform. It's also going to leverage your existing governance. It's also going to spin up tuning jobs with just a single SQL call. So with that, there's no ETL, there's no data drift, and you don't have to have a separate compute to manage. Whereas with the traditional ML ops pipeline, you're going to be required to export that data, and you would also have to stand up your own external clusters.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Rose. And then the next one I've got here, I think this is for Tyler. So Tyler, can Cortex Search handle multi-language document retrieval out of the box, or does it require custom embeddings?
Yeah, short answer is absolutely yes. It handles multiple languages inherently. It uses the Arctic Embed 2.0 model to back the solution, and it's fully managed. So out of the box, it produces the embeddings itself inside the Cortex Search service, does all the indexing. There's no need for a vector database at all. You just kind of query against your table using natural language, and it's able to use the semantic hybrid search to query across virtually any language. Or I guess it's over 30 languages. I won't say every language.
Okay, that 30 languages is impressive though. Okay, awesome. And then I think we have time for one more. It's at you, Tyler. So what kind of native apps are actually getting monetized right now? Are enterprises really buying apps through Snowflake Marketplace? That's a great question, very timely.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of like more successful native apps. I think the agentic AI applications are still kind of coming onto the scene, but there's a lot of connectors that are available. Like Shopify connectors is one that I've seen a lot. The SharePoint connector on native app on Snowflake Marketplace is really popular. And my understanding is that some of these app providers are seeing over like $1 million in annual revenue. So it's a really legitimate part of the ecosystem that continues to grow. And to address that kind of follow-up question in the chat that I just saw, it is storing the vectors in Snowflake. The kind of distinction that I would make there is that I don't have to set up a vector database. The indexing, the vector storage, the embedding itself is all done behind the scenes in a fully managed manner. So that's kind of what I was trying to express there, is that I don't need to set up a vector database. One is set up automatically when you set up the search service. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, we got to thank you on that. Thank you for catching that, Tyler. But yeah, y'all, I'm looking through the questions. I think we've answered most of them, and then some of the ones during the sessions. So I believe we're done with the Q&A portion, which is timely. So yeah, that's it. Our master of ceremonies, Mr. Gard, do you have any closing thoughts with your awesome scarf over there?
I just appreciate everyone's attention, and please don't be a stranger. Reach out and let's engage.
Thanks, everybody. We'll follow up with the recording and the link. So thanks so much for joining us. Much appreciated.